So I'm just going to get straight to the point on what I think about the interfaith dialogue in the growing situation that we're facing right now, corona epidemic and the post-corona world order. But to understand that, I think first of all, we have to go back into looking at where we're coming from. Because unless and until we don't understand how we are being evolving, we can't understand where exactly we're going to be going and what the options we have. So I'm going to start off with the Westphalian system and the society that emerged after that, because it is important. It is very important at the moment because I think what we are seeing today in this world is the undoing of the Westphalian order. After the Westphalia, we saw a mushrooming of nation states and identity of the people around the idea of nation, identity, and all of that. I think with that also emerged the new ideas of democracy, freedom, rights, etc., etc. Now, this was particularly started off in the Western society, sprung by the Western ideas and a lot of intellectual enlightenment that happened in the Western countries and the Western hemisphere. Uh, they were in the later time during the colonization period, they were pushed on to the Eastern societies, which had a different evolution and a different mindset on things. For instance, the nation state was a rather very strange idea of societies in the East, where religion, for instance, was the key mobilizing and factor and the key identity of the people. So, the reason why I wanted to bring awareness to that is because what I see right now in the world is that tension emerging between the two worlds, where initially the nation states started defining the states, but the religious identity is now fighting back. What we have seen in the past century is exactly that. You look at the creation of the state of Israel, you look at the creation of the state of Pakistan around the religious identity, you'll see that. You look at the 1979 Iranian Revolution, you'll see that again. And then you look at the entire trend where you talk about Islamic extremism, Islamism, that essentially is about pushing back against that Westphalian order that artificially identified people based on geography, not based on their faith, religious identity, and all. So we see a lot of movements, some Salafi movements, some became more radical and extremist like Al Qaeda and other movements. So that's what has been there. Initially, these identical movements based on identity were only in the eastern part of the world. But what we have seen lately, ever since 9/11, is a particular movement starting all over the world. I mean, you look at the rise of populist movements in the US, in UK. You look at the rise of Hindutva in India, for instance. And all over the world, you're seeing these hot spots where religion is becoming more and more central to the governance and the state and the society, which is very fundamentally important for us because our ideas on interfaith dialogue and the whole essence of interfaith initially rested upon our neoliberal understanding of religion, society, and faith. That now is almost entirely collapsing. So, what I want to get at in the next 1 or 2 minutes is what's going on and where we are headed. What's going on is very simple. A lot of things that were supposed to happen in 15 to 20 years, because of COVID, they have accelerated. We've seen that digitalization process has started accelerated. We've seen that the mindset, the economy, the way of doing business has shifted. In that context, I think what is very important is that interfaith also has to evolve. The dialogue between communities, who is leading these dialogues, how they are being led, what type of narratives are we talking about? I think that is under the question, specifically at a time like Corona, where the society and the world has faced a collective threat from a very from something out of negligence or some unknown reason that we still don't know yet. It kind of draws back our attention to the fact that beyond these superficial ideas on race, religion, etc., that we have divided ourselves into, at the end of the day, we have the same blood, we have the same sort of DNA that gets targeted by the viruses, and we suffer in the same particular way. Henceforth, I think it is important. And I don't rely on the community leaders or the religious clerics to be in a position to lead that interfaith dialogue moving forward because they have been used to a very traditional sort of interfaith dialogue in the speech. I think the younger generations of each and individual religions. I think that is for them to come up, use the digital age, use the technology to move forward with how to best interact, how to best cooperate, how to best understand each other. And a lot of times the focus, unfortunately, in the last 15 to 20 years was the focus was a lot on building bridges, and the narrative was entirely about how we are similar and not different. I think we need to slightly shift that and have a sort of more understanding how being different is actually a good thing as well, instead of only focusing on what is common between us. I think we can really be in a good position to appreciate what divides us and build on top of that to actually come to terms with our differences. And I think that would be a good way to start off. I'll stop at there, and then we can have more discussion during the question and answers.